So I think that there was a real excitement within the collective of sharing together, but then also the public were able to bring a lot of knowledge and share with each other, and that be a really non-hierarchical experience of the public's knowledge being just as valued as that of the Digital Maker Collective.
For me, I guess knowledge exchange occurred when I didn't understand something and I wanted to go out and find a way of projecting something in my incubator or in my installation, was to seek out the expertise of those who are knowledgeable in that specific area. So whether we were reaching out to the scientists or to the legislators in order to put together correct information regarding the actual water crisis that was happening, the ocean plastics crisis, I had the tools and the ability to get that information and understanding through these specialists.
Well, to me, knowledge exchange is a sort of activity. It's an activity where two parties are involved with each other and they exchange knowledge in not just information, but communication, social networks, relationships, and I feel it has to be an equal exchange, an equal knowledge exchange for it to be a successful sort of meeting. And in my case, there were times when I didn't know some form of information, but with the right sort of meeting, I was able to learn new things and also impart some of my knowledge to someone else. It's very satisfying and it's really helpful.
I feel there is two different types of knowledge. There is the technical ones that are from the coding skills. Actually three: technical, personal and professional. Technical, it was with the people that were doing the sound and the coding, and this was really interesting, like Maria, Ben, Lee, Terry, they were all amazing. Then professional and personal, I learned a lot from Mariana to kind of how to deal with a team, to put your ego on the side and go on with a group, and I feel there was a lot of this as well.
Well, I guess in terms of knowledge exchange, first you have your generic, literally, we exchange each other advice and techniques, and then you have the part where, well, not everything is digital, not everything is about digital processes, which means that what's great is that you also had a lot of people working along with analog techniques, or even techniques that we wouldn't necessarily see as digital, because there's such a closed-up term that is currently we're trying to open it up a bit more. So I feel like knowledge exchange comes in the idea that people can include processes that we usually will not see with digital techniques, and I think that's really good.
The knowledge exchange at GMC is amazing because you've got people with specific expertise, and when you get together, the sum is huge compared to what one of us could do on our own with our own expertise.
Well, I benefited a great deal from it because I come from obviously a spatial design background, not really a technical background. So I benefited greatly with the knowledge of some of the members who helped me develop my practice and helped me develop my technical skills, which then in return now I can develop somebody else or help somebody else, which I've done this year.
I see it as both a virtual and a physical hub, where people from different and organizations from different disciplines can come together, and from across the world really, and then come and share knowledge, share experiences, share skills for mutual benefit and learning.
That's actually a really fascinating definition, because I was an academic for nearly a decade and a half before I joined CENSAT, and our knowledge exchange is very formalized in academia and industry. So when we talk about knowledge exchange, it was always about trying to bring some sort of a productive way to disseminate your research and create a huge impact how the research happens within an academic environment, and then pass it on to industry. But that's just one-way traffic. But then how the industry actually siphons information and knowledge from the university, it goes both way around them. So university gets to get their research impacted, and industry gets to siphon knowledge. So, and that's one way of sort of creating a knowledge exchange partnership. But in this software environment, it was very similar principle, but it was happening between different bodies.
For me, it's about making sure that the exchange is equal and a collaborative thing. It's not necessarily a give or take, but as long as someone's got something, even if it's just someone showing a real passion and a real drive, and if you know what they need and you're willing to exchange that knowledge with them, it's not about always giving something back, but I think it's about supporting each other, and I think commitment as well. Again, if you've got a really committed member and they ask you a question, there's not a problem within the collective, just sharing that knowledge.
And is it about learning too?
Yeah, definitely, being willing to learn, showing up to the meetings. It's not about just walking in and saying, how do I do this, and then leaving. I think a massive part of exchange is commitment.
For me, the knowledge exchange that went on within the makerspace, so the research and development hub, was fantastic. So not only was I meeting and interacting with the staff, with other students, and sharing knowledge about technologies, about coding, 3D printing, scanning, all of these things that I had a curiosity for, but I had no idea how to approach. And then, in a way, having been a member of the collective for almost a year now, I find myself now being able to teach others and impart that knowledge from things that I hadn't known before to a wider group of students. And in fact, I find people from my course approaching me with questions about Arduino and things that I just would have had no idea about before.
For me, knowledge exchange is sort of, I think it sort of goes hand in hand with collaboration. So, I mean, I learnt so much from other people, not just through the exchange, but working in the makerspace. I mean, the collective is so rich with different people that have different sort of ideas, interests, knowledge. So you've got people doing coding, people that know how to use 3D printers, VR, and I've just learnt a lot from those people and the people that we brought in, like Sensat, Georgia Ward Dyer, we had Space 10, Green Lab. I think it's just a sharing of ideas.
One of the main kind of benefits and also a challenge has been working with an external partner so closely, because we really have worked, especially after the Tate Exchange, we've worked kind of in tandem on it, and obviously there are students who have time pressures, there's Green Lab who has a functioning lab, and there's us who we've all got our own things to do, and actually to work really closely with someone with an organisation that is external is really beneficial. And I think also for the students it's very beneficial. It's something that is linked back to all of their projects. Evidently they all have a certain skill set, or certain skill sets, and they all bring their own kind of ideas and interests into the project. So I hope they can take elements of it again back and for their kind of own assessed work or whatever. But I think that's been the main benefit for them. Yeah.
I think knowledge exchange in the context of the students is that they gain, I guess, insights into processes or systems or commercial insights or ways of doing things or methods that they hadn't considered before because it hasn't been taught. But I think it's finding those points where we kind of bridge the gap between, well, they're not really sure what to do next, but we can help them to the next step. And that's the kind of a knowledge exchange of, well, we've been there before, we've made all the mistakes, can all go left, go right, and do this instead.
I think that was one of the really important things that I took away from the experience, because I live in a very academic world, and we tend to, publish in journals and or produce work which gets seen by relatively few people within very small communities. And I think what was extraordinary was to see how you have to take the questions and the knowledge that you have and you need to build them for broader audiences. You really have to engage the public, the world out there, because they're very intelligent, very thoughtful, and really engaging in these things. Going back to AI and language, for example, so many people now have an Amazon Alexa in their living room, and they are asking very, very interesting questions about that technology and how it surveys them, what the role of language is in that technology, how it's limited in many ways, and what's going to happen to that in the future. So in terms of knowledge exchange, I don't want to be an academic who only speaks to other academics. I want to speak to other people about these questions because it's going to affect all of us. So for me, Tate Exchange was a fantastic opportunity to test that out in a public space and to see how hard that is. But when you get it right and you get people actually talking to you, going back to the idea of the debates, when people will open up and exchange ideas with you, you realize the extraordinary insights they bring, you know, from many, many different viewpoints that you've not considered before.